saying to yourself,
boy, life sure is boring here. I wish I could live somewhere I could wake up every day and be excited about what that place has to offer.
well, I've got news for you, my Péng. Come to the United States of America. Your life will surely be almost problem-free. Nowhere else in the world will you enjoy the life that this country has to offer.
Really? I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Well, Zhixin, in America, we enjoy these great things called civil liberties.
But what are civil liberties?
I'm glad you asked, Zhixin. Civil liberties are freedom to exercise all of the many rights that are granted to you by the laws of the United States Constitution. And guess what? You also have civil rights. Civil rights are your right to social and political equality in this country. And guess what? Something in our Constitution called the 14th Amendment assures you that you will have these rights. Nobody may deprive you of life and liberty or deny you the equal protection of the law.
Wow, that's amazing! So what are some other things I should know? Aren't you guys a mostly Christian country? I'm not a Christian, so do I have to pray at school?
Of course not. We are sensitive to people of all creeds. In fact, something called the Establishment Clause forbids the government from even making any laws regarding the establishment of a religion. Another regulation called the Free Exercise Clause forbids schools from forcing others to pray involuntarily.
I don't believe you! The government has really taken measures to ensure that no religion can be favored?
For Israel! There was a Supreme Court case regarding a requirement for Louisiana schools to devote the same amount of time to creationism as they did to evolution. The Supreme Court deemed this unconstitutional, specifically because it intended to advance the influence of a particular religion in public schools.
Oh wow, I didn't even know that! Sounds like you got some groovy dudes in that place you call Supreme Court.
Groovy they are! You can practice any religion you want, as long as you aren't committing any acts that are defined as illegal by any other laws. Any laws banning an activity related to religion have to meet something called compelling interest. This means that there must be a government interest that is satisfied if the ruling is valid.
Sounds like you guys are pretty sensitive to all religions.
Church and state are separate. Now come, there's much more that I have to show you. Follow me!
Okay, so I know that the government can't intrude on any religious beliefs. But what if I don't like anybody? What if I don't like something that somebody said?
Good question, Z. We have a very nifty right in this country called freedom of speech.
Really?
For really?
Wait, I know there's a catch. There's always a catch.
Well, freedom of speech was designed so that we could voice opinions about our government. However, there are a few small limitations to what we can say. We can't say any untrue defamations of character of a government official. If so, we will be charged with a crime called slander. If we print a defamation of character of a government official, we will be charged with another thing called libel. Another limit is on something called sedition. This restriction says that the government can punish anybody who makes any speeches that can cause others to rebel against authority. However, in 1959, the ruling of a case called Brandenburg versus Ohio said that the government cannot punish anyone for making inflammatory speeches about the government unless it incites imminent lawless action.
Sounds reasonable, I guess.
Oh yeah, and you can't streak if that's your thing. If you do so, you'll be charged with something called obscenity.
In China, I am up-and-coming journalist. Is the government able to censor my work at all?
Well, the government can censor certain material through something called prior restraint.
And that is?
Well, the government will sometimes censor material when it is brought to their attention, and they will prevent the censored material from being published.
Well, I do not think that this should be allowed. Is my right to protest protected by the laws?
Absolutely! You have the right to assemble/protest and to petition. You have the right to peaceably assemble. This means that you have the right to meet with others as long as you are not trespassing, rioting, being loud, or blocking public areas. You can collectively express feelings about issues with others through freedom of association. To have a verbal protest, you must receive a permit from local government. The government is never too reluctant to distribute these permits, though.
So are there any other small restrictions?
Well, Z, according to a case from 2000 called Hill versus Colorado, the government can pass laws regarding locations where protests are permitted. In other words, laws can be passed saying that campaigning or protesting is prohibited near healthcare facilities.
So tell me more about these rights regarding nonverbal protests.
Well, forms of nonverbal protest, such as wearing armbands and t-shirts, are called symbolic expression. However, if you were in school, some forms of symbolic expression may be restricted by the administration. However, you could fight that if you could absolutely prove that your form of protest wasn't harming anybody. And you could possibly get charged with arson if you were to burn a flag as a form of protest.
Aw, dang it! I'm a firebug. But I guess all my other rights will make it worthwhile.
Definitely. There's even an amendment in our Constitution that prevents the government from searching your personal property. The government needs a warrant to search any of your personal property, including your home, vehicle, and personal papers. However, a 1988 case called California versus Greenwood ruled that your trash could be searched by the government officials because it is outside of your home. Let us see more.
Are there any other laws that protect intrusion from the government?
Yes, there are. The Fifth Amendment of the Constitution gives you the right to prevent self-incrimination. Pleading the Fifth is the term used when someone refuses to speak due to the possibility of saying something that may incriminate them. There is also a clause in the amendment called the Double Jeopardy Clause. This clause prevents you from being harassed or tried multiple times for a crime that you have already been acquitted for.
Well, I'm pretty impressed with these amendments. Are there any laws that protect our property from being seized?
Well, there is a clause in the Fifth Amendment called eminent domain. This clause gives the government the right to seize property. However, the takings clause states that the land must be for public use and you must be rightly compensated.
Well, I think that things are very well regulated in the United States.
Would you like to hear more about the rights that you will enjoy in the United States?
I would love to, but hurry, I need to book my flight.
Well, the Sixth and Seventh Amendments lay out how you will be served by the justice system. The Sixth Amendment states that all people are given fair trials and that their accusations are to be clearly explained to them. Due process, it is called. The two types of due process are called procedural and substantive. Procedural is about criminal trials and substantive is about protection of rights and privacy. And if you feel that your rights are being violated in any way, you can file a lawsuit. These lawsuits sometimes have juries, unless they are done in small claims court. The Double Jeopardy Clause is also able to prevent lawsuits from being filed against you more than once for the same instance.
While I am a mischievous person in occasions, am I protected by any laws once I have committed a crime?
The Eighth Amendment forbids the government to grant excessive fines or bail. So, they would have to charge a reasonable amount of money for you to be bailed out of your pretrial holding facility, otherwise known as a jail, or a booking place. You are also protected from any punishments that can be defined as cruel and unusual.
Protection for criminals? What would they think of next?
So is America the place for you?
You bet, I'm booking my flight right now.